Well, welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. And, well, how's everybody doing, chat? Today we're going to be looking at some new jabronis on their bullshit. Well, not really new. They're familiar to the stream. And raising funds for the crowdfunded translation project. Currently, I'm working on funding a short translation, in this case, of the first in a series of articles from the legendary Chilean left magazine Punto Final from their historic archive, articles from between 1968 and 1973 that analyzed the political situation in the country and the looming coup. I'm trying to raise another $165 out of $300 for the first one, and anyone wishing to contribute can do so at the link I'm dropping in chat. Now, yesterday we were looking at one particular group of liberal slopcasters. Today we're going to come back to some better known liberal slopcasters. See, I had noticed on the Vanguard that Cenk and Anna over at the Young Turfs are kind of crashing out a little bit. And I made a note of the video that this was happening, and I thought we'd have another look at it. The video is called "Is a Progressive Storm Coming to Texas?" But it seems that the real storm is coming to Polymarket Studios. So, which just to connect a couple of dots, Polymarket is running betting markets on Israeli attacks on Gaza. So, like, the Young Turfs is funded by people who are profiting off of betting markets on literal genocide. So, I mean, they're just lovely people over there. Absolutely home of progressives. But here we go. It's a long stream. Hopefully I can find the bit where it actually happens. As I'm looking for it,
All right, well, the Young Turks, Cenk Ugaranik is pairing with you guys. So, you're going to see a common theme in today's show, which is U.S. government officials and media figures who brazenly, openly work for Israel and try to take away our rights.
I mean, let's just get ahead of this one. I mean, the idea that the U.S. government works for its puppet regime in Palestine is a little bit much. It's not surprising that they're running that line at the Young Turfs, because to actually challenge it would mean to take an anti-imperialist approach to the whole thing, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to talk about U.S. imperialism, not seriously. And also, I mean, Cenk's been glazing the shit out of Tucker Carlson recently, and acknowledging that actually this isn't some fucking conspiracy of a tiny lobbying group that has nowhere near the kind of funding as the arms lobby and the oil and gas lobbies, who profit heavily from U.S. imperial policy in the Arab-Iranian region, would probably not go over well with him.
And we're going to prove that to you. We don't do anything without facts. We're going to
okay, they're going to prove it to us. That'll be fun.
Show you a number of stories here where basically we've got a war on Americans led by Israel.
A war on Americans led by Israel.
But most importantly, by the sellout Americans who work for them and who betray this country. So, let's be...
I mean, what does that even mean? Like, let's just sit down and think about what you'd actually have to show in order for that to make sense. Because if you're going to try to make it about, like, Israel controls everything, you have to explain... The first thing you'd have to show is that this is actually going against the interests of sectors of the ruling class that matter, like oil and gas and the arms industry. And the problem for this argument is it isn't. It's actually doing really well for them. And the minute you start to acknowledge that, the minute this starts to fall apart.
Clear about it, and let's be factual about it. And
oh yeah, let's be factual. That'll be fun.
Get us started.
All right. Well, we actually begin with the latest efforts in reining in rights for Americans on behalf of a foreign country. And of course, that foreign country is Israel. It's the only foreign country that the United States will violate the rights of American citizens for.
I mean, that's just bullshit. Historically, that's just bullshit. I mean, yes, the U.S. certainly will violate the rights of U.S. citizens in support of Zionism. But the U.S. has done that to U.S. citizens in support of U.S. puppet regimes in Latin America, for example, up to and including having U.S. citizens murdered because they were connected to people to the elected government in Chile in 1973. Having U.S. nuns brutally murdered by U.S. run death squads in Central America in the 1980s. Like, this isn't actually unique. And that's one of the major problems that that we have when we try to engage seriously with this sort of analysis.
So let's get to what I'm talking about. The state of Florida is attempting to empower the head of their Department of Law Enforcement to designate groups such as foreign groups and domestic groups, both types of groups, as terrorist organizations. Interesting. Now, there are no real, clear, narrow definitions of what would constitute a terrorist group.
I mean, there never have been.
According to the state of Florida. In fact, the definition they've given, in my opinion, is too broad. And as we know, too many people, particularly activists who are supportive of Palestinians or peace in the Middle East, have been erroneously labeled as terrorists. So
is it erroneous, though? Is it erroneous? Is it a mistake? Or is it intimidation? Yeah, I mean, the U.S. has been labeling people as terrorists for a very long time. Like, I mean, Nelson Mandela, for example, who was on the terrorist watch list until 2008. Until 2008. Was that erroneous? Or was the U.S. trying to intimidate people out of supporting the ANC?
There's a lot to get to here and a lot to talk about, but first, Jake, your 2 cents.
Yeah, there's a couple of outrageous things in this story. Number one, if you criticize Israel, they're going to take your American rights away. It's a full lockdown in Florida. They're coming for American rights, constitutional rights, and they're going to just unilaterally call you a terrorist if you dare criticize the people that are obviously bribing all of those politicians.
I mean, but are they obviously? I mean, there is money flowing, certainly. There is some bribery going on. But is that really why the U.S. has decided to stake to use Israel as basically the only base for power projection in the fucking region? Could there be other reasons?
They're legal. The Supreme Court says that Israel is allowed to buy any politician they want, and they do.
They've said that, like, the capitalist class is allowed to buy any politician they want.
Them in the bucket full. Now, ironically, there's a Republican revolt in Florida against some of these laws. We'll talk about that too. But they give the game away in one particular part of the bill that I want to focus on a little bit later. Because if you weren't sure, oh my God, are they really looking for terrorists? No, by the end they clarified, no, we do all of this for beloved Israel because we've been ordered to do that. So,
they say that, do they?
Florida, you're about to lose all your rights.
Wait a second. I mean, what's hilarious about this, I have to say, is that Florida has already... What do you mean you're gonna lose all your rights? Like, Florida has already basically been imitating Pinochet for a while now. Like, if you're queer in Florida, you already lost all your fucking rights. I mean, if you're an academic in Florida who wants to actually do academic work, academic freedom's out the window in Florida. So, like, what this isn't some big, new, and unique thing, even within the context of Florida. It's just one more fucking nail in the coffin.
Most of your politicians are bought by Israel.
I mean, what's fascinating about this as well is, at this particular historical moment, we have the situation where a lot of politicians, supporters of the genocide of Palestinians, it's worth noting, have realized that being associated with AIPAC is a bad look. So now they're dissociating from AIPAC. And one of the things you notice about that is they're dissociated from AIPAC, but they're doing the same shit. Like, Bernie Sanders has been a reliable supporter of Zionism. And he's never gotten a cent from AIPAC. Because the thing is that Bernie Sanders is also just a reliable supporter of U.S. imperialism everywhere.
So here's what you need to know. Prior to the bills, and I do say bills because, you know, as any state legislature has, you have a state Senate and a state House.
I mean, that's not any state, actually. North Dakota is unicameral.
So there are bills in both the Senate and the House in Florida. But prior to that, it's important to keep in mind that Governor Ron DeSantis had really kind of taken the mantle of being able to erroneously label certain groups as...
Like, she keeps on using the word erroneously. I don't think it means what she thinks it means. Because I feel like... I don't think she means that he's, like, that this is a mistake on his part. And, I mean, this sentence doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you assume that it's a mistake on his part. Because very clearly he knows what the fuck he's doing, and that sentence makes it clear that she's saying he knows what the fuck he's doing. That's not erroneous. That's just a lie.
Terrorist organizations when nothing could be further from the truth. Now, following that, you have these accompanying bills that will further reinforce or bolster what DeSantis is doing here. So here's what you need to know. A House committee advanced HB 1471, which would allow the head of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, chosen by the governor, not an elected person, chosen by the governor, to designate groups as foreign or domestic terrorist organizations. Groups could be labeled...
Okay, I'm skipping ahead because there was a crash out. Okay. Intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. Oh, okay, this actually sounds like they're using the federal language, the federal definition from Title 18. I mean, those particular phrases are definitely in the federal definition.
Policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. The governor and cabinet would have to approve any designation. So in terms of safeguards, that's really the only potential safeguard I see from having this one individual abuse their power. Because if individual decides, okay, I'm going to label this group a terrorist organization, you would still need a vote to take place in order to confirm that. Now, companion bills,
which is worthless.
Any evidence or records about these decisions, right? How do
it's worth noting that what she's describing here, I mean, actually, if there's a vote involved, that's already way more protection, like way more safeguards than the federal version of this has. Like on the at the federal level, the Secretary of State can just unilaterally declare anything a foreign terrorist organization. They can just do that unilaterally, and there's basically no procedural safeguards. It's just totally arbitrary. They do it all the time. So, like, if there's an actual vote, that's actually more safeguards than you have from the existing federal terrorism designations that have been around for decades and should not exist.
According to how this legislation is written, George, that right, so the advanced.
Okay, I'm skipping ahead. Because there's supposed to be there's a crash out in this video. Somewhere in here, and I want to get to the fucking crash out. That's what I want to look at.
Of laws against terrorism. So this is not needed in that laws against.
Certainly a foreign country, and that's the foreign country of Israel.
So I want to.
I mean, Israel is not really a foreign country, though. It's full of U.S. citizens. Economically, it is indistinguishable from the U.S. Militarily, it's indistinguishable from the U.S. I mean, their government is full of fucking U.S. citizens as well. It is foreign on paper.
There are already laws against terrorism. There's tons and tons of laws against terrorism. So this is not needed in that sense. It's not like, oh my God, this is the one law against terrorism. If we take this away, terrorism will be legal. No, there's already.
I mean, it is. I mean, when the U.S. engages in terrorism, they don't have to worry about the cops knocking on the door.
Infinite laws against it. You're not allowed to do any of those physical acts that are violent and in support of a literal terrorist organization, etc. So this.
Well, it depends on the organization, actually, because there are terrorist organizations that are not designated because the U.S. supports them. Actually, the people that Maria Corina Machado, Nobel laureate, is associated with, I mean, by any normal definition of like the definition of terrorism that they use there, they're a terrorist group. They have much more claim to that than a lot of groups that are on the FTO list. But they're not. They're not treated as one because the U.S. supports them.
Law is new.
Like, they took Al-Jolani, the self-appointed dictator of Syria, off of the terrorist list. I mean, he's like the head of a group connected to ISIS, like literal fucking ISIS. He's not on the list. Like, if anyone, so I mean, let's not pretend that the U.S. just bans groups for terrorism. It's always because of what position those groups are in relative to what the U.S. is trying to do in a given region.
And what it's doing is saying, as Anna explained, that if anyone feels intimidated by your speech because of they love Israel and you didn't kiss its ass, that's it, you're a terrorist. Now, wait a minute, you need due process, right? Nope. Secret group, 5 people led by the governor, just labeling people terrorists.
I mean, again, this is what we have at the federal level and have for a very long time, and it also sucks.
Wait a minute.
So this isn't totally new.
Christians can also feel intimidated. In fact, they can.
Well, it's worth noting, though. I mean, he treats this is him like acknowledging that he kind of does not distinguish between Jews and Zionists to a certain extent, because the overwhelming majority of Zionists in the U.S. and in the world are white supremacist Christian fundamentalists.
often feel intimidated by the bullies in Israel First movement, who's constantly like, "You're all
the bullies in the Israel First movement are overwhelmingly fucking white supremacist fundamentalist Christians.
Semites, you better pay Israel. You sick anti-Semitic Christians. You owe us, right?"
Yeah, except like I mean, it's overwhelmingly is Christians like DeSantis. Right-wing fundamentalist, white supremacist Christian. The guy who introduced the bill, white supremacist fundamentalist Christian. It's all down the line. Like, white supremacist fundamentalist Christians not only invented Zionism in the first place, but they're way more reliable supporters of it.
Now that feels like intimidation, right? We already, as a country, gave out nearly $350 billion to Israel, but Israel...
Well, most of that, it's worth noting, goes straight back to the U.S. arms industry. And the rest overwhelmingly goes to jointly held U.S.-Israeli corporations. So it isn't even, the money doesn't even really leave the country.
It's not enough.
It's like a gift card that the U.S. gives. It's like an Amazon gift card, except it's a fucking Raytheon gift card.
We're all anti-Semites, and we owe them way more money. Otherwise, well, now in Florida, you might be a terrorist if you disagree. So you better give me your wallet, you terrorist. And I could get offended at any moment and call you a terrorist, and then you're done. Now you say, well, but Cenk, maybe they will apply it evenly.
I mean, they've never applied these laws evenly.
I don't think a single actual human being that watching this thinks that. Every single person knows that this is all...
I mean, plus it's fucking Ron DeSantis. Like, the only people who might seriously think Ron DeSantis is inclined to be even-handed about anything are the people that fucking Cenk has been sucking up to so hard in the past year.
Protect Israel, and in fact, they proved it, which I'll get to in a second again. But wait, they've already started applying these laws. Texas has a similar one. And who was the first group that they called a terrorist organization? CARE. So
yeah.
CARE is the...
Which is just, I mean, absurd, apart from everything else, because CARE bends over backwards to be respectable. Like, they have, like, invited the FBI for, like, public sort of tea meetings to talk about concerns. No, I mean, knowing that the FBI doesn't give a shit about it. Yeah, they're happy to get a chance to gather intel, but, I mean, it's not going to stop them targeting Muslim communities because that's who they like to target.
The top civil rights organization for Muslim Americans. They're like the equivalent of the ADL.
Except the ADL they would be the equivalent of the ADL if the ADL were a civil rights organization for anyone. The ADL has not been a civil rights organization since like the first half of the 20th century. They were originally one, but I mean, certainly not since 1967. Actually, during Reconstruction, very briefly, they didn't use the word terrorist, but like they passed the Ku Klux Klan Act. And that was like essentially trying to put the Klan under what we would call terrorism or legislation today. Of course, Reconstruction ended extremely quickly because white supremacists got really, really nervous about like the idea that white supremacists were not default having the upper hand in the South. But yeah, I mean, there was a brief attempt.
So
let me give you their full name. So it's the Council on American and Islamic Relations. That's what CARE stands for. Yeah. They do advocacy work on behalf of American Muslims, and clearly, you know, we live in a country where a giant influential group of people would rather, Muslims not have any rights. But anyway, continue, Cenk.
Yeah. So
I mean, and some of those people are people that you two have been trying to court the support of for a while. But I'm going to try to...
Instantly they're like, oh, you're for Muslim civil rights? Terrorist!
Based on what? Based on what are you talking about? Kerry never says anything against Jewish Americans or any Americans. On the other hand, ADL is constantly talking about, Muslims are the problem, and anyone who dares disagree with Israel is an anti-Semite whose life should be destroyed. They sound like a terrorist group. So are we going to apply to the ADL? No way. No way. No. This is so that any opponent of Israel can get locked up and have their freedom taken away. Well, what the hell happened to the First Amendment? The First Amendment says that we can say whatever we want. Not anymore.
I mean, again, talking about the First Amendment in Florida, like, the First Amendment also guarantees academic freedom, but if you, like, talk about history in Florida as, say, a history teacher, the First Amendment does not guarantee your right to do that. You have to, you have to lie to the students about it.
Unless you say something against Israel, in which case we will take away all your rights. But, this is for the people of Florida. Really, how does this help the people of Florida? Now, they gave the game away, Anna.
I mean, and no, it isn't. That is just one of many. Like, if you say something in favor of queer people, they will shut you down as a teacher. Like, they will shut your school down that you work for, even. If you say something that is anti-racist, they will, more broadly, if you call out, like, anti-blackness or something in Florida, they will come for you for that, too. This is all about just white supremacism writ large. This is just one more aspect of it. And when you put it in that context, it becomes particularly clear.
Started talking about Judea and Samaria. First of all, the official government position of the federal U.S. government is that it is the West Bank. That is the name of it. 5.5 million people live in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Those are the occupied territories of Palestine. When you call it Judea and Samaria, that is much, much worse than saying from the river to the sea, which Netanyahu and Israeli supporters have also said. But what that means is we are going to remove the Palestinians from the West Bank. We are going to call it Judea and Samaria, which is our name for it, meaning we own it. We're going to slaughter those people. We're going to steal.
I mean, this is all true. This is all. He's right about this.
Muslim, Christian, atheist, it doesn't matter. If you don't agree to that slaughter and ethnic cleansing, and we're previewing it for you, you must say what Israel wants to call it. If you don't even call it what Israel wants to call it.
Well, I mean, maybe it's because it's also what the U.S. wants to call it. Because the U.S. is kind of freaked out right now. The U.S. is freaked out because an entire generation worked out that the U.S. government is just committing genocide, and, like, that the entire political class, with a tiny number of respectable exceptions, is involved in that. And it actually matters a lot to maintain control over the Arab-Iranian region for the U.S., and Israel is kind of necessary for that. So, like, they're faced with either fundamentally reorientating their entire policy and retreating from a strategic region, which they're not going to fucking do, or finding ways to crack down on speech, which they've been doing for a while. I mean, this doesn't come out of nowhere.
You don't agree to their ethnic cleansing, terrorists! Okay, yeah, all right, I got it. These guys are sellouts. Every single person that is pushing this bill forward works for Israel.
I mean, why are they sellouts?
And hates America.
I mean, okay. I'm gonna say what I said back when George W. Bush was doing the hates America thing. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Because the thing is, again, Israel is kind of essential for U.S. control of a strategic region. Like, the whole reason... The U.S. did not used to give a fuck about Israel, really. And 1967 changed that, because suddenly it became clear maybe Israel was not going to be militarily useless. Because they managed to shut down Nasser. And the U.S. had been desperately trying to find some way to shut down Nasser and the Pan-Arab movement, and nothing worked. Nasser was going from strength to strength, and then the Six-Day War happened, and suddenly the U.S. foreign policy establishment was like, maybe Israel is up to more than we thought it was. Maybe we should be backing them. And within a couple of years, you had the special relationship that we've had ever since. Like, this is fucking silly.
Hates our Constitution, wants to take our First Amendment rights away. You think they're only going to apply to Muslims? Go ahead if you're a Christian. I dare you criticize Israel after they pass this bill in Florida. They're going to take everything you got. Already in Florida, if you say, hey, what Israel's doing is terrible, the genocide, they killed 20,000 kids, I'm pro-life. They killed 20,000 kids. If you said that, right? Terrorist, okay? How dare you try to stick up for
I'm speeding through this because I want to get to the crash out. I feel like we're getting closer to the crash out, because the crash out starts with him crashing out and then goes to, like,
some people are intimidated. All right, can I call it the West Bank? That's what it's called. Terrorists! You have to call it Judea and Samaria, and you have to be in favor of Israel taking it all. It literally says in there, it's Israel's. Currently, millions of Palestinians live there. So,
I mean, yeah, the U.S. hypocritically still, like, officially supports UN 242, which says that the occupied territories belong to the Palestinians. Hey, Emily's. But, like, in practice, the U.S. has been backing the occupation all along.
Look, you want to do this in Israel? At this point, nothing would surprise me about the evil coming out of the Israeli government. The core evil, right? But you don't...
Like, it's so fascinating that he will not just come out and say the U.S. government. Like, acknowledge where this is actually coming from. Because if the U.S. actually really had a problem with Israel and what Israel's doing, they could shut that shit down in no time. Israel's totally dependent, and they're even more dependent now than they ever were, really. Israel now is so fucking isolated internationally, their economy is in tatters. Entire key sectors are collapsing. Agriculture is collapsing. Like, their high-tech industry is experiencing massive brain drain because anybody who has any kind of qualifications, anyone who has any kind of skills and has any way of getting the fuck out of the entity is going to wherever they can go. Like, if the U.S. wanted to stop Israel doing what Israel's doing, they could just cut them loose and the whole thing would just collapse. Nobody's in a position to step in to replace the U.S. there, and the fucking Israeli government knows it. So, I mean, talking about this as if this was nothing to do with the U.S. government, like he does, is just such a choice.
Bring that here to America, and you're going to take away our rights and start calling innocent Americans terrorists because they don't agree to the imperial...
Yeah, what do you mean start? That's been going on since 9/11 and before that.
Of Israel?
I mean, like, let's remember, like, calling environmental activists terrorists. I mean, they were actually listed as the top terrorist threat by the FBI for years and years and years. Because they, like, did some property damage.
Now, at some point, and I think this is the point, Americans are going to rise up. We can't stand that our politicians are owned by Israel. We can't stand it. They all get funding from AIPAC and the Israeli lobby. Those are legalized bribes. They take those bribes.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The politicians who don't get any money from them, they still do basically the same shit.
They sell out Americans. They sell out Republicans. They sell out right-wingers. They sell out...
I mean, like Bernie Sanders, who he generally speaks fairly highly of, just does a more nuanced version of this. The counterinsurgency 101 version.
Christians, they sell out left-wingers. They sell out all of us. And
they sell out Christians, really? I mean, yeah, they don't give a fuck about Palestinian Christians, but like the Zionist movement, the backbone of the Zionist movement is white supremacist fundamentalist Christians from the U.S.
They're trying to force you to bow down to Israel. And now they're going to put it in the law. And then they'll go, oh, well, it's illegal. We passed the law. We passed the law. Now you criticize Israel. I feel intimidated. Arrest all the terrorist Americans. How dare they oppose Israel? These are sick things that are going on in Florida. If you're a Republican, you should vote on every one of these sons
I mean,
of
yeah,
bitches
all of these things are fucked up. That is not the question. Every single bit of this and more, like the stuff that's going on in Florida, like what I'm objecting to, it's like, yeah, obviously, these laws are horrible and they should not exist. But like, yeah, the issues that I have are one, acting like this is somehow like the U.S. the good U.S. my favorite country, my emotional support empire, would never do anything bad if it wasn't for Israel. Like, fuck off. That's not true. We know that's not true. This country was founded on doing really bad things, and there was no Israel then. But like the other thing is acting like any of this is really new. Like, I mean, human rights were fine in Florida before this. I mean, I guess, Cenk and Anna are very clear that they don't really give a shit about queer people. So, in that sense, I mean, I guess they probably are fine with what Florida's doing. And they're kind of fine with scaremongering about black people. That's why they like to, and brown people too. They like to join in the crime scaremongering campaigns and shit. So I guess they're okay with all that shit. So like this is just this isn't the first fucking horrible human rights atrocity the Florida government under DeSantis has committed lately. It's just maybe the first one that they object to.
Trying to take your rights away. I want to be clear. You don't have to vote for Democrats. It's not a trick. That's why there's primaries. Go into your primaries, vote out DeSantis, vote out every Republican in Florida that works for Israel, because they're going to betray you and they might even put you in prison if you dare to disagree with their...
Okay, and who will be left, actually? like, okay, so you vote out all of the Republicans who support Zionism. Like, you're not going to have anybody left. The primaries, the way they're set up is somebody's got to win them. And this is the U.S. foreign policy consensus.
Donors.
And in fact, I mean, you talk about, like, Republicans who don't like Israel. The ones that you find, I mean, they're worse, actually. Like, because those people are virtually always just straight up white nationalists. Like, even more so than the ones who do support Israel.
In fact, one of the sponsors for the House version of this legislation is a former Democrat who is now a Republican, right? So, look, the party labels don't matter. I think that there are members of both parties who are willing to do, Israel's dirty work here in the United States.
I mean, like, acting like this is somehow, like, this is some insidious thing that a few people are doing or something like that. It's the entire fucking political class. But if you're shilling for Democrats and, like, the occasional neo-Nazi Republican, as Cenk and Anna like to do, I guess you have to pretend that this is just, like, a handful of people and you could just get rid of them and then everything would be fine, as opposed to being practically unanimous in the political class.
Requires them to roll back the rights of American citizens. So this is not a partisan issue. This is really genuinely an issue about protecting our rights, Americans' rights to freedom of expression, freedom of speech. And one final thing I'll just mention here is that this isn't just about pro-peace protesters or American Muslims. This is also something that will very likely harm workers' unions. Now, why do I say that? Because the head of the workers' union is raising alarm here. So Rich Templin, political director for the Florida AFL-CIO, told senators last week that union members were concerned about their ability to go on strike under the Senate version of the bill, and that's SB 1632. He says, quote, when they strike, they are trying to intimidate. That's the goal, to make change.
Okay. I'm gonna skip ahead because there's a crash out coming. It's the crash out I'm interested in, and actually the fallout after it.
They'll put you in prison and call you a terrorist. So if you criticize corporations, it's well, that's it. You're trying to intimidate poor beloved corporations that are coincidentally giving me millions of dollars in donations.
Yeah, I mean, and now he's just noticing that actually, yeah, this is kind of this is just all activism,
right? And so that would also apply to all Florida workers. If you're an employee in Florida at all, you're in a world of trouble if you try to intimidate your poor CEO or the executives of your company in their interpretation of it.
Well, I mean, the cheat code to that is that none of this matters if we actually just successfully have a revolution. So we should just get on that.
Now, there are portions of the bill that get a lot of pushback because of that, because you can criticize X, Y, or Z. But the one part that, of course, stays completely unchanged is, I mean, all right, maybe we'll let you criticize agricultural companies, and maybe we'll let you criticize...
Actually, I mean, there are ag-gag laws. I don't know specifically Florida, but there are actually laws to prevent you criticizing agricultural companies.
Workplace, if you're going on... Maybe...
I mean, this country is full of anti-union laws, anti-worker laws. That's why it's so hard to get up a general strike in this country, because it's literally illegal.
We're debating, right, and a lot of pushback from Republicans, etc. But Israel's untouchable. If you dare criticize them, no way, you're a terrorist. Now, I said, look, guys, again, it's all factual. So, do they mention any other country? Like it could be terrorism that's related to Saudi Arabia or, Thailand. I don't know, anywhere, right? No, only Israel. Has it been applied to anything other than Israel? No.
Well, yeah, I wonder if that's to do with the fact that the linchpin of U.S. Foreign policy in a key region is at this point opposed by a majority of people in this country, and that's really kind of worrying the entire ruling class of this country, which has staked quite a lot on maintaining that emotional support at apartheid state.
Only Israel. And not only do they then say you have to say the terminology, you are forced to say the things that Israelis want you to say. Not only are we taking your speech rights away, but we're making you say Judean Samaritan. If you don't, you're a terrorist.
I mean...
But on top of all of that, as Anna told you earlier, now they're going to change the textbooks of your kids, and they're going to teach them...
I mean, they've been changing the textbooks all along, Cenk. Did you notice this? Like, I mean, hey, Adria. Yeah, I mean, that's not the first time that they're doing this. I mean, like, a Facebook friend of mine is a professor in Florida, and he's showing... He publishes the shit they get from the state government talking about what they are and aren't allowed to teach about. And... there is a huge list of stuff you are just not allowed to talk about that is just basic concepts in sociology. He's a sociology professor. Yeah, and when I say that Florida is kind of imitating Pinochet, this is an example because Pinochet, under the dictatorship, actually kind of banned the entire discipline of sociology from Chilean universities. I mean, so this is part of a broader thing.
They're going to teach them Israeli propaganda. And they're just doing it out there.
I mean, the U.S. has been promoting, like, U.S.-Israeli propaganda all along.
Well, I guess, okay, now there's a new law. The Israelis will control our textbooks, and they'll write whatever fantasy they want. And if you disagree, you're a terrorist. Okay?
Because I'm sure that those textbooks were so pro-Palestine before.
Yeah. So every politician that is pushing this bill is a traitor to America. They're trying to destroy our Constitution on behalf of...
I mean, that is just an insult to decent traitors.
Donors? And yes, that included corporations, and yes, it includes Israel. That's how our government works now. The Supreme Court legalized bribery. So
I mean, the Supreme Court legalized bribery in the 1970s, my dude. This guy went to law school. He almost... Buckley versus Vallejo is a leading case in constitutional law. I'm sure he had to read it when he was at law school. I'm sure he had to read it since then. And Buckley versus Vallejo is the case that established that money given to politicians constitutes speech. And that therefore regulations on how much money you can just give to politicians to buy them off constitute regulations that infringe on speech and therefore trigger First Amendment protections. Like, this isn't a new thing. This is all really well established. And it goes back a long time. And if we're going to talk about it seriously, because if we're going to talk about it for the purpose of working out what to do about it, we have to understand that. We have to understand just how fucking deeply rooted this shit is. Like, 1976 is Buckley and Vallejo. That's the fucking bicentennial. That is a half a century ago. It's having its 50th anniversary this year. I mean, everybody remembers Citizens United, but Citizens United just dotted the I's and crossed the T's. This shit was already going on.
All bribed. None of them care about us. They have great disdain for the American people.
Well, yeah, because they work for the capitalist class.
Care about the people who bribe them, which is the donor class. And now they're saying, if you oppose the donor class, we're going to call you a terrorist and take away all your rights.
All right, when we come back from the break, we'll talk about how Jeffrey Epstein was looking to scientific advancements to potentially clone himself or live even longer.
Okay. We're going to skip ahead. I want to get to this fucking crash out.
Members first. Buck says, not gonna lie, I was missing Cenk Yelly a bit this week. You're welcome. Nah, that law and a couple other stories in the show. It's like a full Israel takeover. They're like, that's it. Just lock it down. We already bought all the politicians. Democrats, they're the biggest weaklings in the country. We bought them cheap. Such losers. Easy to buy Democrats. Republicans, all they care about is money. We bought them for Israel. Now you're all gonna have to suffer under Israeli rule. Now you'll know what it's like to be a Palestinian.
This is... Wait a second. Because, I mean, you hear this from, like, white nationalists who try to worm their way into Palestinian solidarity activism a lot. And the wild thing about it is, there's an entire group of people living... The U.S. is Israel. Like, the U.S. is the Israel of this region. Like, the U.S. literally is just a colonial regime that invaded a continent that was already inhabited against the will of the locals, took it over, occupied them, chucked them out, and killed a huge number of them, chucked the survivors out into the worst available land that nobody wanted. I mean, this should sound familiar to anyone who knows the history of Palestine. Like, so acting like this is, like, the U.S. is occupied. Well, yeah, the U.S. is occupied. It's occupied by the U.S. This continent does not belong to the U.S.
Israelis are saying to all of us, I'm so sick of their oppression and their intimidation. Can I use that law to declare pro-Israel people terrorists? Oh, no, you can't do that. They're beloved Israeli lovers. You can't. They're the most precious people on earth. Oh, yeah, you guys, you don't like Israel? Put them in jail. Take away their rights. How dare you oppose Israel? Those terrorists. That's what Ron DeSantis, that sellout bitch, is doing in Florida right now.
Were you okay with the shit he was doing before this, though?
Did Netanyahu go down to Florida? Did DeSantis take care of him personally? Because that's what they're going to do. They're eventually going to put it on TV. Netanyahu's going to come on and go, okay, now, DeSantis, Trump, Biden, all on your knees.
I mean, no, because he works for them.
Burn the Constitution in front of me, then pleasure. And then they're going to go, oh, no, if you object.
The most ridiculous thing about this is Netanyahu's from Philly. You can. You went to fucking high school in Philly. There's a school in a Philly suburb. I forget its name. He's right in the fucking yearbook. He speaks Hebrew with a North American accent. Netanyahu's a Yank. That's why he's been in power so long, because because the U.S. It's really handy as far as the U.S. is concerned to have one of their own running their crucial colonial regime there.
Little Taco Dragon says, be completely honest, check it in like always. Will we ever be freed from an Israeli state? Because I don't think so. Well, right now, I mean, we're under complete occupation, so we have to...
Oh, we're under complete... I mean, this is just, at this point, I mean, he's just giving neo-Nazi talking points. At least the neo-Nazis love to talk about ZOG, which stands for Zionist Occupied Government. It's the idea that supposedly Israel, a regime that would collapse if the U.S. just cut them off for even a week, is somehow controlling the United States. And it's just because, and I mean, you can kind of figure out where neo-Nazis would have this idea and try to make it about this. But it's bullshit.
Rebel politically, rhetorically, and there's a head-on collision coming, because the rebellion is real. The right wings joined the rebellion.
They haven't joined the rebellion. Shut the fuck up.
And the establishment hasn't moved an inch. I was just in Washington. They all work for Israel. They love Israel. They that's the money from Israel. They're
the money from Israel is nothing compared to the amount of money that comes from arms and oil and gas.
Worst people on earth. Almost every member of Congress is corrupt. Almost every member of Congress works for another government, the Israeli government. So, yeah, there's a head-on collision coming. Kevin Shea says, what do we expect from Florida anyway? This is a state that had the cancel gay law. Mark, that's true. Marco Antonio P said Florida is an Israeli colony. Jeffrey Dottie 2782 says, I'm glad I'm out of Florida alive. BS 1954 in our member section on 2IT.com says, Jenk, I echo your rage with Israel, and I'm so proud of you. You were so excited, but you kept it within reason. CB1 says, I guess we should just call Earth Planet Israel. Wong John says, in other words, if past Israel basically annexed Florida. Boomer Dragon Cat says, and I call your interview on I've Had a Podcast. I swear you and Jen Wish could be sisters. Enjoyed it so much. TYT.com/press to catch that. Just Jim writes in, the House yesterday passed more egregious voting rights act. TYT's best buddy, Massey, also voted for it. Massey's a one-issue Trojan horse who's infiltrated populist confines.
Oh, here we go. This is where the crash out is. It was over Massey. Now I think I know where. Here we go.
And CB1 says, I guess we should just call Earth Planet Israel.
Okay.
Long John says, in other words, if past Israel basically annexed Florida. Boomer Dragon Cat says, and I caught your interview on I've Had a Podcast. I swear you and Jen Wish could be sisters. Enjoyed it so much.
That is, I don't know who Jen Wish is. Like, is that a sandwich of two Jens and a Rachel? But I don't feel like that's a compliment to her.
TYT.com/press to catch that. Just Jim writes in, the House yesterday passed the more egregious voting rights act. TYT's best buddy, Massey, also voted for it. Massey's a one-issue Trojan horse. Let's...
Jen, actually, as the Vanguard pointed out, I don't watch enough of this asshole in order to have seen it myself. But I'm sure, but I trust them on this, that Jenk has actually, endorsed Massey for president in the past, and that will be relevant.
Infiltrated populist confines, and yes, the populace fell for it. A Trojan horse will lure you in with one goal, your destruction. The House yesterday passed the more egregious voting rights act.
And let's just shut the term populist enters this whole discourse in order to just collapse any meaningful political analysis. Because the idea is it makes fascists sound cool. It makes them sound okay. Oh, they're just right-wing populists. And it also equates leftists to fascists, because everybody's just populists.
Best buddy Massey also voted for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm done with that. Hey, listen, if you're one of these folks who thinks, I cannot understand simple concepts. I
mean, I agree. Jeg has trouble with simple concepts.
Agree with Massey on this, and I don't agree with him on the Voting Rights Act.
You literally endorsed him for president.
And you think, oh, you agree with him on one issue. He agrees with us. Use your mind.
Yeah, they both agree. Massey and TYT agree that Massey should be president.
What do you want me to do? Say, no, I reject Nobody we don't agree with. Epstein files. Tom Massey comes and we say one last thing. A membership. Jake, Anna, Angel D. Valentin, CD Norstag, thank you.
Okay, here we go.
For gifting a membership on YouTube.
It's about to
Michelle
happen.
Moody, thank you for gifting 5. You guys are amazing. I'm going to say one last thing to Just Jim, who wrote in, who's a member on our website, tyt.com. Brother, I don't know how many times I got to say this. When one person, not that we agree with Tom Massey comes and agrees with us on it.
Yeah, he thought that they had a great point about how he should be president.
Anti-war on Epstein files on Israel. What do you want me to do? Oh, well, okay, we don't agree with Massey on other things. How many times have I told you we don't agree with Massey on other things?
Like what?
He votes for the Republicans 91% of the time. Nobody told you to vote for Massey.
Well, I mean, you did.
What do you want me to do? Say, no, I reject Massey's help. I don't want his help at all.
No, well, like, what help with what? What is he offering? Is he gonna help you put your, like, reshingle your roof? What the fuck? What help?
You know what? My feelings are more important than Israel's occupation.
Oh, my feeling. Like, I mean, the objection. Let's remember the objection the commenter brought up was that Massey supports laws that will make it very difficult for people without types of voter ID that a lot of people don't have access to vote. And Massey supported that. That is so that
of America or Gaza is more important than the genocide. So I'm going to reject Massey's help. I'm going to reject Tucker Carlson's help because I am pure. Unless someone agrees with me 200%,
Oh, here we go with the percentages.
Cancel them. Okay, congratulations, Jim. Go ahead and cancel them. And say, oh, we're never going to work with anyone who's trying to end the genocide.
Like, why do you need to work with them? If they're already doing a thing that is useful on their own, there's no need to actually, like, you know, I'm saying assuming. Because I don't actually agree that they're already doing a useful thing on their own, because I don't think they are. Because, like, Tucker Carlson doesn't want Palestinian liberation. He doesn't give a shit about Palestinians. His idea is that there's a Jewish conspiracy that is making U.S. imperialism work badly. He wants U.S. imperialism to work well. He is a white nationalist. Massey has similar objections. Like, so there's absolutely no reason. I mean, in fact, the minute you start making the Palestinian liberation struggle about U.S. interests already, like, that the real problem with what Israel's doing is it's against U.S. interests, which you have to actually define what those are, first of all. But the thing is, if you're organizing with people who try to make it about U.S. interests, you have to take into account that they may not think that Palestinian liberation is itself in U.S. interests. You're potentially bringing in people who have absolutely no particular solidarity with the Palestinians. They're saying that U.S. imperialism isn't working as well as it could.
Who's trying to end the occupation of America because
the occupation of America. See, that's the thing, because that's what these white nationalist shitheads like Tucker Carlson would prefer to make the struggle about, not about Palestinian liberation. Not about liberating the Arab Iranian region from U.S. imperialism, but about, like, their fantasies of Jewish world domination and shit. Like, I mean, and that's why they're absolutely toxic to Palestinian liberation.
We disagree with them on other things. How many times you guys, like, I hope that 99% of you understand this super simple concept.
Wow, I love it when Jen condescends to his audience.
I know there's a lot of super dumb left-wing hosts who keep telling you otherwise.
But he's got the big brain. He's got the super brain. Look, he's got so much of a super brain. He's got no fucking neck. There's like he needs the extra real estate in his neck for his super brain, and that's why he knows that working with Nazis is a good idea. Polymarket told him so.
Because someone agrees with you, like, for
example... Like, motherfucker, I mean, and the wild thing is this guy talking about, like he's such a big fucking defender of Palestinian rights. His fucking sponsor, the owner of his studios, the the studio is named after this company, is running a betting market on what part of Gaza Israel blows up next. Like, and he's taking their fucking money. Like, shut the fuck up, Jank.
Example on paid
Therefore.
family leave, that doesn't mean you agree on everything. It doesn't mean you love that person.
You wanted to fucking have a beer with Charlie Kirk. And the wild thing is, I mean, he tried to make this sort of like bromance with the far right work into a thing, and then like when Charlie Kirk got popped, they still the Nazis all just went and blamed him anyway, as it, you know, he was like sucking up, he was glazing the shit out of Kirk. What do you mean wrong category?
Doesn't mean that you have to vote for that person. It doesn't mean they're your best friend.
I mean, again, did kind of endorse him for president.
They came over to your side to say yes to something. The correct answer is...
I mean, no, they didn't, though.
Great, let's work on that, and I'll fight you on other things. Why is that so hard to understand? Why is this so hard? And I'll tell you why the left-wing hosts say it. Not all of them, but yes, there's some. And if you think there aren't, you're being disingenuous. They say those things.
Oh, God, I've tried to fix this several times. Thank you for letting me know.
Because they want to seem like they're the most pure. I rejected Thomas Masson.
I mean, I'm sure that's what we're trying to do. Those of us who counsel against organizing with fascists, it's because we want to be the most pure. It's not because there's a history of that turning out really, really badly. It's not because they're bad people and organizing with them just makes us lose credibility and improves their credibility and ends up benefiting them and totally screwing us. You know, it's because we want to be the most pure. Because, I mean, that is such an unrealistic standard not to work with any Nazis.
I rejected Tucker Carlson's help on Israel.
Tucker Carlson never offered us any help on Israel.
Yeah, so what? More Palestinians will be murdered.
Wait, so that's what it's down to, is it? More Palestinians will be murdered. So, I mean, I guess polymarkets will profit off of that. That's neat. Because fucking people didn't want to have Tucker Carlson's help. If leftists had said yes to white nationalist Tucker Carlson, the genocide would be over now? Like, what fucking cinematic universe is this motherfucker living in?
Because we didn't join in with the right wing to fight on that one issue together. But I am morally pure left-wing host.
Okay, Jake, we have 2 hours. We have 2 hours. 2 hours to do a show that we've literally spent our entire day researching and working on. So I would appreciate if we just move on, please. Okay?
I mean, this is a rare moment where I'm actually glad that Anna Transphobian opened her mouth.
We are not anyone's mother or father in the audience. Okay?
Well, I mean, you're kind of acting like Jenks, but I mean, I'm actually I'm okay with that.
You guys have the right to watch whatever you want to watch, vote for whoever you want to vote for. I don't have to explain myself to anybody. You don't have to explain yourselves to me. Let's move on. Let's get
unless you're trans, then she wants you to explain yourself to them.
Next story. All right. Jeffrey Epstein apparently had quite a bit of interest in biohacking the human genome, and that's according to the recent Epstein files that were released by the DOJ.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, he's actually was obsessed with evolutionary psychology and other, like, right-wing grifty shit. He had a lot of ties to people in something called the Human Biodiversity Institute, which was big on eugenics. Like, so what they're really talking about, like, what he was really big on is eugenics, which is also why it turns out Epstein and people who are tied to Epstein, very big on the idea of pretending there's no COVID.
So he pursued individuals from the intelligence community to help him do it, which shouldn't be surprising since he was an asset for Mossad. And Epstein seemingly wanted to either clone himself, live forever, or potentially both.
Well, I mean, I guess the living forever didn't work out for him.
We don't have enough horrible people on this planet. But nonetheless, curious what you think in your initial...
I mean, you're not exactly an unhorrible person yourself.
thoughts, Jake, your 2 cents.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can manage to do this without her having to fucking spank him.
Well, I thought the places that they financed here were also interesting, so keep an eye out for that. And these folks were sick, and so as you're hearing Anna tell you the whole story, remember
remember that these are some of he will probably at some point tell you that you should ally yourself with these people too.
The U.S. government knew all of this and never tried to stop any of it.
So this is yet another example of the excellent reporting that you can see over at Dropsite News. This particular piece was published by Ryan Grimm.
In fact, you really could just only check out Dropsite and not watch the Young Turfs at all, and you would probably be better off for it, despite the fact that Ryan Grimm's actually a twat too.
Taza Hussein and Emily Jasinski, and here's Ryan Grimm kind of giving us a rundown of what Epstein was up to as it pertains to biohacking.
He talks about wanting to clone himself.
Who among us?
Who among us? And to do DNA experiments and and so the headline of the article refers to how he wanted to turn he built his New Mexico ranch. He said,
I want to see if
I'm going to pause for 1 second and just say the people who are into this kind of stuff are so self-absorbed. It blows my mind. I die when I die. I don't want to live longer than I need to. And more importantly, why do I want another version of myself? Why do I want to clone myself? I don't think I'm that great.
I mean, I wouldn't mind another version of her because maybe the other version would be better.
Walking this planet. There can only be one. But anyway, let's continue. In 2014, a colleague of Church's sent Epstein a $193,000.
I want to know. I'm kind of just curious if there are further explosions.
$400 invoice for a package deal to mutate his adult stem cells to increase longevity. Later that year, Epstein tried to arrange a meeting between Church and Bill Gates to discuss anti-aging and genetic fabrication. Epstein believed that intelligence officials were definitely key to this type of research. As early as December 2009, Epstein reached out to Daniel Dubno, a CBS News producer who previously worked with DARPA, and...
Wait, okay, so this is just interesting to me in the sense that, so this guy used to work with DARPA, which is how the subsidy mill for high-tech industry and Homeland Security. This is the kind of, symbiotic relationship the propaganda system has with the military-industrial complex. You have a CBS producer who worked with DARPA and DHS.
The Department of Homeland Security to find the top hacker codebreaker NSA type to assist in analysis of proteins. And, you heard the folks over at Dropsite News talk about that a little bit in the video that we showed you earlier.
Skipping. So I want to see if there's anything more.
It's their planet.
All right. When we come back from the break, we will.
But wealthy guys in Silicon Valley, do they think that they're better than the rest of us?
I mean, clearly.
100%. The guys trying to clone themselves.
I mean, I wonder if that includes, except for our buddies at Polymarket, they're really down to earth.
Think they're God's gift to humanity. We're just in the way. We're all meddlesome. But thank you for joining. It makes a big difference. Yes, there are forces against us for sure, and so we need your membership. And we appreciate it. With it, Gal, thank you for gifting.
It used to be that this was, they would brag about how listener supported this all was, and now it's backed by fucking corporations like Polymarket and shit. I mean, it was liberal slop before that, although it did actually, it had its moments. I noticed that when I was doing some work on my video about the death of Dick Cheney and the culture of impunity in the U.S., because when you look at when you look for footage discussing Bush-era human rights atrocities in the U.S., it is pretty much a huge amount of it is actually TYT back in their very first years. But I think we're gonna switch over and look at something else. Okay. And we have something, we have some very normal thing from, oh, hey. Oh, this will be good. We've got Tucker Carl. I had not even thought about this, but this actually fits perfectly. I thought we'd look at some Joe Rogan, and he's got Tucker Carlson on, Jenks Bestie. We've never done Joe Rogan on here, and so he's a first-time jabroni. And he's got fellow jabroni fucking. Okay, I find that disturbing actually.
Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Jesus.
Injuries as a result of other anomalies, see collateral injuries, psychological effects to family members. So they're admitting that people are dying.
It's just like a tweet from yes. No.
Is this it?
Injury. Now, okay, so.
Okay, what are we looking at here?
So, this is in there. They're talking about this, and this was just released. We're talking about setting up this program, Kona Blue.
I didn't get it.
Okay, now I am kind of curious what Kona Blue is. I know that they're going to. I don't think their discussion of it is going to be particularly enlightening, which is why we're looking at it. Okay. Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program. Okay, okay, I have the document that they're looking at here. I like to have that sort of thing up there because, like, one of the things that actually annoys the hell out of me about a lot of people who are, like, YouTube creators and streamers and stuff like that is, and it annoys me because I sometimes have been guilty of this myself, is, you know, you have the entire, like, world's knowledge at your fingertips, and you speculate about things you could just look up. So so I want to have this document up there so that I'm not speculating on what it actually says when they're fucking talking about it.
It's like a UAP program of some
Yeah,
sort.
the medical division will have a small team of medical analysts under the direction of the chief physician and deputy administrator. They will organize data into a threat analysis based on medical findings, including but not limited to A, deaths and injuries as a result of interaction with advanced aerospace vehicles.
Here it is.
I mean, this actually, what this sounds like is another example of where the Pentagon and the intelligence community have used the idea of UFOs and extraterrestrials to distract from research projects that they were doing. I mean, that's the story with Area 51. It would not at all surprise me if all this talk about these UFOs, you know, the Tic Tacs that they were on about for a few years, not too long ago, if that turned out to be something to do with that, or, you know, just artifactual. But the fact that when you see this sort of stuff getting released, that is a good example. This is what Booz Allen Hamilton classification policy review from decades ago now described as good faith distraction material. As in, they're legit documents, they're you know, the documents are real, but on the other hand, they are meant to direct people's attention away from things that they don't necessarily want people spending too much time on.
B, medical injuries as a result of other anomalies, C, collateral injuries, psychological effects to family members. So they're admitting that people are dying.
It's just like a tweet from yes. No.
Is this it?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Wait, okay, so there is... One thing I get from this is the DHS has a research center called the Consciousness Center. Like, that's not creepy at all. Hey, let me drop the link. Chat, you can see it too. Oh, sorry, I should have done that already. Here you go. This is the Kona Blue. This is the document these jabronis are looking at.
Do you ever wonder if stuff like this is just disinformation?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wonder if... I wonder a lot of things.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah, we know that. It doesn't bear thinking about, though.
I'm sure you do.
But,
I would always assume that a lot of this stuff is nonsense.
I mean, that it's funny because that's sort of where my starting point when it comes to anything that Joe Rogan says.
Yeah, here's what we know is that U.S. servicemen have died as a result of contact with or being in proximity of these vehicles. And we know that because there are a lot of suits working their way through the VA system.
Yeah?
Where families, can't get compensated for the deaths or injuries to loved ones.
Because it's all under wraps, top secret.
Well, that's just a fact, okay, that is happening. So if there's, I guess, when there are measurable physical effects of a phenomenon,
this is
you can say conclusively the phenomenon.
2008, 2009, apparently. So this goes back a while. Okay, the first thing to know about the document they're looking at is it's a proposal. It is described as a pre-decision document. So the section that they're talking about here with deaths and injuries, they are expecting that will probably be the case. They're not saying it has already happened because this is a proposal. Like that, I mean, what I'm looking at for anyone following along, it's page 9 of 56. Here, I'm going to put it up here because it actually does kind of matter whether... This is one of the things... If you're serious about looking at these kinds of documents, you gotta notice. Okay, so here we go. Unclassified. Prospective Special Access Program. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security is acknowledged as sponsor of this work. Pre-decisional draft do not release. This project will investigate, identify, and analyze. See, everything's in future tense here. Get back to page 9. Is what they're talking about. Okay, here we go. This is what this section they're talking about with deaths and injuries, medical injuries as a result of other anomalies, collateral injuries, physiological effects to family members. That is a description of what the medical division here, right, that's this section here, this paragraph, second to last paragraph on the page, what the medical division will be doing. Future tense, so this is not actually, like, as of the writing of this document, there hadn't been any because this is a proposal. That's the first thing to know about that. Like, and, fucking, Tucker Carlson is supposedly a journalist. I mean, Joe Rogan is just, like, an asshole. Tucker Carlson's an asshole, too, but he's an asshole who's a journalist, supposedly. So you would think that he would actually bother to look at this, but then I also know what kind of so-called journalist Tucker Carlson is, and I'm not surprised that he doesn't seem to have bothered to look at it.
Phenomenon is real,
right?
And so yeah,
But
I guess we're sort of past the point of like, is it real? Yeah, it's real.
It's real in that there's these things that are moving in very bizarre ways, and they have these propulsion systems that violate what we know about propulsion systems.
I mean, again, this is conjecture here, just to be clear. Like, what they're looking at is a proposal from 2008. Well, actually, probably before 2008, because it's seeking funding starting in fiscal year 2008. So, these things might be related. It's certainly plausible that they could be related, but this does not say that they are related. That could be a completely different thing, too.
Retrieving data across dimensional space-time, develop remote viewing comms and countermeasures, determine baseline for physical transport across dimensional space-time barrier, rapid response medical teams for UFO interaction events.
Okay. Oh, okay. Does it actually say rapid response medical teams, consciousness center? God, I mean, wait, that is a hell of a name for a consciousness center. But, okay, we're at justification for need. Advanced Technology Center. Annoyingly, it's not searchable. That's probably on purpose. Just to make it a little bit more of a pain in the ass to work with. Okay, go.
So how did they do this accidentally? Study conscious interactions with and control of technology.
So I got this from someone in the U.S. government.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you read the thing, they're using consciousness in a really weird way. The consciousness center, I have the page that defines what that is essentially telemetry. It's detection. It's sensors and other devices meant to capture data. So they're not talking about human consciousness.
So who's well look, let me just start by saying I don't know anything. But he sent me this. The above is 100% legit. I was read into this program but told never to tell anyone. It's now been released. As you can see, it began as a result of my old program, AATIP. I signed a document saying I would never talk about Conan Blue and similar efforts. I can't believe the AARO would have released it.
Okay, skipping over.
But I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to do this. And then, of course, the second you start, as you know better than anybody, you start talking about something, then people reach out to you, and some of them are deranged, but some of them aren't at all coming out of the sky, at least in his telling to me. So anyway, but the point is, people have died.
Yeah.
And
Mars, we have, the lunar rovers, we have satellites that we send to observe and photograph other planets. We just got really high detailed photographs of Jupiter. They're pretty amazing. But if something, it literally can create universes.
But what kind of God? So, like, I think of it this way. So the first stage of the Industrial Revolution consisted of people building machines that were stronger than the human body.
Right.
Right? So the steam-powered loom.
Sure.
The backhoe.
Combustion engine.
Combustion engine. They replace muscles.
Right.
Right. So that's what the machine does. It becomes stronger than the human body. The second stage, which we're in the middle of, consists of creating machines that are more powerful than the human mind. That's what computing is. And I would say AI or supercomputing is just...
I mean, AI isn't, though. I mean, that's the amazing thing about AI. It is actually... If you were putting this into, like, a video game technology tree, given the kind of results you get from AI would actually be a level before the technologies we had before AI was a thing.
Exponentially. But that doesn't make it a god, in the sense that the machine, however powerful it is, any more than a backhoe is a god, because it can dig a trench faster than 100 men. It's still something that people created. So the story hasn't really changed. At the center of the story are people, and their creative power may be to hit the data centers.
It's 5 minutes are rough, and I used to only do 20, but lately I've been doing 25.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's more uncomfortable. The whole idea is just to make it more uncomfortable. I want it to be very hard to do.
Well, what the fuck is he talking about?
In a sauna together, we all hung out, and then we did a podcast together. He's a genuinely nice guy.
Who?
And when we hung out with him, I hung out with him for hours. I mean, we worked out for like 2 hours, and then we got in the sauna together. We all hung out, and then we did a podcast together. He's a genuinely nice guy. Like you'd be able to sniff
I love that.
something out.
Well, you can
know?
tell, like,
Yeah, you
immediately.
tell something. You
Yeah.
tell something. You know,
People are hiding stuff.
Yeah, but so yeah, I've done the sauna with other people.
Well, I
but
do it by myself, so no one sees my sauna.
I
now.
do it at 196 degrees. I do it for 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. I don't need to hear about either of these motherfuckers in the sauna.
Real understanding of the value of discipline and hard work.
Yeah.
Because you can get as good as the amount of effort that you put forth. It instilled in me this understanding of the value of dedication and of a singular commitment to something. To really being, while you're doing it, you're not distracted, you're fully focused on improving.
Okay, so when does the improvement kick in then?
And through that, you could apply that.
Because I can't help thinking, I mean, remember, chat, a few weeks ago we were watching Matt Gaetz actually really kind of dog-walking Bill Maher on his horrible podcast. And Matt Gaetz was like, yeah, you know, Bill, you peaked 20 years ago. The stuff you were doing back then was so much better, which, I mean, I have to say, on that, I do have to fucking, as much as painful as it is to say this, I agree with Matt Gaetz on that. That is like probably the only time I will ever be heard to say such a thing. But, I mean, this is also true of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan peaked during Fear Factor. Most of his listeners and viewers probably don't even remember Fear Factor because it was ages ago. I didn't watch it because it sucked, but it was still better than just like stream of consciousnessing into a microphone while promoting like fascist ghouls.
That is their primary focus. They don't have a real existential threat. You remember how nice everybody was after 9/11?
Very.
That is not my recollection. I mean, wow, 9/11, everyone was so nice.
Crazy. California was patriotic. There's fucking flags on everybody's car.
I remember.
I thought we were talking about them being nice.
Everybody was friendly. I went to New York.
Yeah, everybody was like, maybe ask a Muslim if you know any, if they share your experience of everyone being friendly. I kind of think they might not.
City was like a totally different place. Everybody was so friendly.
Applauding when firemen walked in.
Yes, they were heroes. Everybody was a hero. And that's because they'd encountered something that was way harder than they were accustomed to, and it just put things into perspective.
Okay, and we've encountered the time when it's time to wrap up. Thank you to everyone who joined in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm always glad to see you all here. I hope it was interesting, I hope it was worthwhile to you, and I hope to see you next week at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, the next time this stream is going to be on. If you're new here and not yet in the Discord, that is a place where we can keep in touch in between streams. I'm going to drop a link in chat that you can use to get there in a second. Once I find the window. Also, if you would like to support me and the stream and the crowdfunded translation project, here's a link where you can do that, and that is always, always, always appreciated. It helps me keep going, and it will help really enrich the literature that is available in English about the history of the Allende government and the coup and everything, because that is a real gap. Like, anytime I see English language analysis, even like leftist analysis of Chile in English, it is not very good. It shows no engagement with the Chilean left, really. And I'm hoping to fix that by translating this stuff so that it can be available and everybody can see it, and it will be made publicly available on my Patreon. I'm looking to raise another 165 towards this current project, and all support is very much appreciated.